Okay, so this is a move from Pacifica reunion mode to, to network mode.
Sure seems like it. Yep.
Yeah, it's great. But we have 11 folks here, so let's get started. I know everybody's time is precious.
Okay.
You all know me, I think. I'm Ursula. Stephanie is on a lake in Minnesota this week,
nice.
which is really makes me happy that she's taking some time away from the pressure cooker. And so I'm going to be chairing the meeting today, so to speak. So I'm going to follow her protocol, which is we'll introduce ourselves and with a 2-minute check-in, whatever you want to say about yourself or the world or whatever, your station. Give your name, make your comment, and then if you are doing video, invite somebody else to introduce themselves. If you don't have video, then tell us and I'll assign somebody to go next. So I'm Ursula. I'm here in Ames, Iowa, where the numbers are climbing still, and just bought face shields this week. And Sharon, I think you asked me about face shields, so I just got ours, so I do have some feedback I can give you on that. And one of the things I want to say was that when these calls started, about the third or fourth call in, we had a conversation about fundraising, and folks were saying to us, go ahead and ask for money because you'll get it. And I was skeptical, but I have to say, whoever said that was absolutely right. We've gotten a level of support that is really on a whole new level during this pandemic. And it's kind of, as I look at the restaurants and the stores that, have to be closed or don't really have customers anymore, I realize that I feel like I'm lucky that I'm in radio right now because we can adapt. So I just want to express appreciation for those of you who encouraged us to hang in there and to ask for money too. So that's me. And I'm going to ask Joseph McGuire to speak up next.
Oh, thank you. I don't have much to say. It just, I'm here. I've actually have been using Clean Feed for Radio Theater Project, but I'm always interested in learning more. And living in Washington State, where our governor wants to protect people, I feel lucky. That's all. Yeah. Thank you.
You want to pitch it to somebody else?
I'm sorry. Nate.
Hi, everybody. Nate here from North Country Community Radio with our station in Littleton, New Hampshire, and our transmitter in Bethlehem. Let's see here. We just, me and the board president just started doing some construction in the radio station while we're all broadcasting from home. And we just started kind of putting in a drop ceiling with a sound treatment in it because there's offices above us. So we're doing that, and let's see, pretty much just doing that, and it sounds like Trump's coming to New Hampshire on the 11th for his big rally, so that's exciting. And I don't know. I was curious about if anyone had any. We talked about press passes, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that at some point in the meeting if we have time for it. Just to have a couple questions about it. That's all I got. Oh, and I'll pass it on to Kendall.
Hey there, I'm the station manager at WDBX in Carbondale, Illinois, and I haven't been able to sit in on a lot of these because I've been running broadcasting, as I'm sure a lot of you have. We have about 70 volunteers, and we took it down to 3 people. All of our programming for 72 days. So I use Teamviewer to remote into the station computer, And that's how I run programming. And I have a lot of programs with already built-in underwriting. But I'm interested in trying to figure out how to actually broadcast from home. So I'm excited that I got a chance to be on this one. So I've only been with the radio station and broadcasting at all for a year. So it's all pretty new to me. I'll pass it over to Sharon.
There we go. Hi, thank you. Hey, Kendall. That sounds like a big thing you've jumped into if you've just been broadcasting for a year now. It's intense. I'm at WXOX LP in Louisville, Kentucky, and we do have a pretty good system worked out for remote broadcasting from home. And I can actually send you a link. I did one of these talks about it, and then I recorded myself and kind of put up a web page about that. So I can definitely share that with you. It's a way to get started. And then anyone who's interested can just reach out to me individually, because it's going pretty well. We've got about 100 or somewhere around 100 DJs broadcasting from home right now. And it's sounding great. They're doing a great job, really positive. Things are pretty intense here in Louisville. I don't really know how much of it's getting out to the rest of the country, but we're definitely in a full-on, civil rights movement that now I think is into 42 days of protesting. So Breonna Taylor is from Louisville, Kentucky, and there's been still no justice for her. And it's getting more complicated every day. Now there's a new story about the mayor being involved in some kind of economic way. So it's really interesting, but we've really been using our. But I think that's Joseph. Can you hear That sounds like something you might hear on our radio station, so I kind of appreciate that. So yeah, we're Art FM. We're an experimental radio station. We play a lot of music. We do have some talk shows that mainly focus on the arts, and everyone's really been embracing the present moment here in Louisville and trying to figure out ways they can use their radio program to energize the movement, get the word out about what's going on, both with the civil rights movement and the pandemic. So it's definitely been a very interesting time to be broadcasting here in Louisville. So, I will pass it now. Let's see. Well, Otis, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. I'm Otis. I think some of you know me. I work with Ursula and Pacifica. And I handle the confessor and the archive, and I am your audio port technical contact. And, I basically accept complaints and death threats, which is just normal. And I work with John Almeleh, who's here. We are the engineering installation for Pacifica. And I'm a curmudgeon and a hermit. That's all. And I'll turn it over to the natural one would be John. Joe, I don't see your picture at KPSQ, and Kendall and I, of course, have talked. Allison, how about you?
Sure. Yeah. So, thanks, Otis. I'm Allison Durham. So I am radio programming and production coordinator at WPPM in Philly, which is Philly Cam Radio. Some of you might know Vanessa Maria Graber, the station manager there. She's her big news, just to recap for folks, is that she's moving on to a new chapter, accepted a new position with Free Press. So I'll be kind of taking some work in that transition, and so I'm sort of handling things for the foreseeable future. And so that's a big change at the station. But other than that, in Philly, the city is definitely taking precautions. I think they're trying to sort of preemptively or sort of like foresee that there could be another major spike. We are seeing a bit of a rise in cases, and so they just today unveiled a mask up campaign, to basically put stuff all across the city to get folks to wear masks. And my personal experience is that most people I see in the public are wearing masks, but I took public transit the other day for the first time in a while, and a couple people had masks under their chins, but they were still on the train. So anyway, I'm hoping that is going to do some good, that campaign. We're just kind of dealing with this transition in terms of personnel and shifting responsibilities and writing important information down for me and then for whoever else becomes involved in the station down the line. So I might have some questions for folks when it comes to just documentation. Maybe that's like a private conversation with some folks about putting together a manual or some sort of guide for that. But that's me. I guess I'll pick the next person. Renee, how about you?
Hello. Renee from KAKU 88.5 FM. The voice of Maui, Hawaii. We're in the
Renee, move a little bit closer to your computer. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. That better?
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, good. Again, Renee Nakata, 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. We're on the throes of just about another shutdown because all of a sudden we got a bunch of new cases in the state of Hawaii. So what's going to happen with that in the next few days or so? We have a massive fire going on right now that's eating up Maui. Other than that, things are calm. No new news.
Renee, you want to pick somebody to pass it to?
I'm trying to. My phone is having issues today, so hopefully I can do that. Oops. Not gonna let me do it. I can't see her.
Okay, I'll go ahead and pick. Joseph, you're next to her, so why don't you go ahead?
Me?
Yeah, on my screen. you're next.
Okay. I'm calling from Hoopa Valley, KIDE Hoopa. I'm looking forward to this call to learn some more about what the topic is. Virtual remote consoles for PCs. I'd like to know more about this technology for the future. That's about it. Doing fine. I'll pass it on to, do we hear from Kendall? We did?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's see. Sharon.
I've already been too.
Oh, okay. William?
Got disconnected.
Hey, how's everybody doing? William King from 95.7 The Boss here in Omaha, Nebraska. We appreciate everybody on the call today. Everything as far as the pandemic, we've been on the forefront, making sure that that people here in Nebraska been doing pretty well compared to all the other states. We've been putting out a consistent message for months. I play a consistent message about coronavirus every hour. Also, we bring in the health department every Friday. We bring in a local free clinic that not only talk about coronaviruses, but also talk about other ailments so people can, stay on their treatment plans. Of course, it's hitting people from the African diaspora at a higher rate. And so we always talk about the consciousness of being healthy the healthier you, the greater chance that you're going to survive. Of course, young people are starting to actually get the virus a lot more in our community. So we're developing a messaging from young folks advocating that they continue to wear masks, especially when they go around their older generation in their families. So our goal is to make sure that we continue to have all voices heard, especially from young people. Usually young people are being talked at. We want them to do some of the talking so they'll have some power in the decision making. But so far, the political leaders, even the local community have come together to look at some of the ways that we're going to feed our community as we move forward, as far as connecting with churches, as well as other nonprofits, to make sure that we look at the uptick of violence in the community, because mental health is also also a problem right now because just being quarantined and isolation. So we're advocating on all those fronts in regard to keep the whole man healthy, as far as mentally, spiritually, as well as physically. We're on the forefront of all that. So I appreciate. I heard about clean feed before. I used it indirectly a little bit, but I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it, and so I'm coming in to sit back and listen to the experts. Oh, and I would like to pass it on to Miss Foster, Miss Forrest, Sandra. Have you spoke?
No, thank you. My name is Sandra Forrest, and I'm here representing WBPU, Black Power 96 FM radio in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I serve as a syndication rep and technical volunteer. And I really appreciate these sessions, particularly the ones dealing with some of the technical aspects of being able to broadcast remotely. It's been really helpful, and they actually tried out the Zencaster, did some successful testing last week after the presentation and really liked it. And then it turned out for the show that they wanted to use it for, that one of the guests did not have access to a computer, and that's really something that is challenging for this station, because the demographic, the coverage area is mostly working class African Black community, and half of the households do not have internet in the home, and people do not have computers, and people have phones. So they have to go back to free conference call for this last episode, and I tried to do some post-production EQ, but it's still really challenging on the technical side. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this. It was interesting, someone mentioned Teamviewer. We've also tried to implement that and have bumped onto a couple of challenges. I was wondering if people use the paid version. We've been trying to use the free version, so I don't know if that's it, but it doesn't stay continuously on, so I'm not sure what. Anyway, so I just really appreciate these sessions, and I look forward to hearing about. Oh, and one other thing. So yeah, we're in Florida, where the cases are spiking completely. ICU beds are full, and the governor has declared we're opening the schools no matter what. So it's a very challenging situation. Anyway, thank you.
John, you want to go ahead? I think there's two of you left. So John and Michael G. Haskins, you want to go next?
My name's John Almeleh. I'm the Director of Engineering and Compliance for Pacifica Radio, and I've been with Pacifica since I was on and off since I was 17 or 16. Michael G., are you with us?
Yep, I'm with you all. I'm glad to be here. My name is Michael G. Haskins. I'm the chief announcer of WBAI in New York. I've been the chief announcer for 22 years and have been with Pacifica since 1989, so a few years longer than that. I've been using clean feed through the work that I've been doing with John Almeleh since March, and I'm here to share some of my experiences with it. It is a good technology, although it has its challenges, as any new technology does. But I certainly want to say it is good to hear from the affiliates all over the country. It is really heartwarming, certainly to Ursula, talking about the capability of fundraising during this time is really encouraging to hear. So I'll share anything that I've learned over these past weeks, months now, with the clean feed apparatus.
Can I go ahead, Ursula? I guess so. All right, I'm going to share the screen.
John, I think there's Joe at CQ. Did you introduce yourself yet? Joe?
No, I haven't. I'm Joe Newman. I'm Joe Newman. I'm the station manager at KPSQ, and we're in Fayetteville, Arkansas. As far as the COVID goes, we're in an area that's seen increasing infection rate lately, but we're not as extreme as some of you all in Florida and other parts of the country. Because of this, we've had a real downturn in the number of people at the studio and how much interaction we're having with the community, and even technical hands-on work, which of course we can't address with video conferencing and so on. But looking just for a variety of remote tools, including things like clean feed, but also for telephone interviews, for all the different situations that our volunteers and DJs face in terms of communicating with people and uploading recordings to the station or doing live interviews and live shows remotely. So trying to get back to having more of an immediate community presence at our station, since so many of our folks are not going into the studio.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for your well-timed introductions. I'm going to hand things over to John. Right before I do that, I do want to make one announcement I realized I forgot to make. I think some of you may have already read this online, but I do want to make sure all of you know that we actually had a historic moment. Last Thursday at midnight, the Pacifica National Board voted to make the affiliate network an official unit of the organization. Up until then, we've kind of been, the affiliate network was always part of the Pacifica management, but we kind of, conceptually were a cubicle in their business office, and which is not at all what we really are. We're actually a full operational unit with our own business manager and our own method of operating. And so finally, after 18 years, the organization acknowledged this as an official part of the organization that's independent financially and is on the same status level now as the radio stations in Pacifica. So it's a really, it doesn't change anything about our relationship. But it does mean that the program will survive my retirement, for one thing, which is always something to think about, right? It's a transitional reality, and it means that that what we are as a network now will able to have a voice, because before we were never really able to report sufficiently to the board, either financially or politically, and so it does create a presence now. And it kind of makes this network that we're looking at right now here on Zoom as an official thing. And so it's kind of a historic moment. So it's really, really nice to be able to say that to you. And, just the fact that you're here has made this possible. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Right.
Good
Wonderful,
job.
Ursula.
Yeah, it was
Someone
a.
mentioned sending letters and support. Ursula, is that?
That's huge. Yeah, yeah. You know, these board members, they never get positive feedback, and they also don't really know who you are. I mean, they kind of made the decision blind, and so if you want to send them the letter, it's PNB, Pacifica National Board, PNB at pacifica.org. Send them a letter, thank them, and tell them who you are, because they don't know. They don't know what a great family plan they have. They're constantly just dealing with their own internal problems, and they have very little awareness of what a fantastic, world they actually live in. So yeah, write to them, tell them thanks, and tell them a little bit about who you are. So anyway, I'm going to hand it over to John now. And John, are you going to start the conversation, or how is?
I'm going to start the conversation with the virtual console and clean feed for the Mac. And then we'll move on to Otis after with the console for the PC. So now I'm going to share my screen, which hopefully will work. Here we go. Can everybody see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is the console. And if you talk, you'll see that the Zoom is below because I don't really use that. But if somebody wants to, Joseph McGuire, would you talk?
I will. I like to.
There you go. So you can see that the console responds to Joseph.
Thank you.
And again.
So, John, just a quick question. The output of this console is to Zoom. So what we're hearing is coming through this system.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I've also, if people want to actually turn down their speakers and microphone and listen to the stream, because I'm streaming it right now, at least I hope I am. Yes, it looks like I am. The stream location is, oh, maybe I'm not. Okay, well, it's ku.audioport.org/8000/Zoom. So anyway, so one thing to note is that this system and clean feed really only works on a reliable wired internet connection. If you're going to try to do it through Wi-Fi, at some point you're going to have some problems. You really need bandwidth to be able to use it. So this is the console. It's based on Audio Hijack Pro. Loopback, which is also a product from Rogue Amoeba, both Audio Hijack and Loopback are from Rogue Amoeba, and a program called Black Hole, which is like a switchboard, which works on the Mac. This is running on a MacBook laptop. The Loopback, which is more like, I'm going to bring that up for a minute. There's Loopback for you. And you have different virtual devices, and they send audio, and that's how you set up your mix minus. So that's really like a mix minus mixer, and that's part of the system. So if we'll go and take a look at the console, and I'll explain things, and then we'll let Michael talk about his experience, and then we'll go on into clean feed and his experiences with clean feed. So basically, these are all inputs. Here you have Farrago, which is a clip player, iTunes, which can play clips or play streams, Safari, which is a browser. Here's my microphone here, which I can turn up or down. Firefox, which I'm using for clean feed. They suggest Chrome, but I'm not a big fan of Chrome, so I'm not using Chrome. Skype for listener calls. If you have a paid Skype account, you can take calls and it will act like a phone hybrid. Lucy Live Lite, which we use to connect to our stations. So, in fact, am I connected? No, I'm not.
Lucy Live Lite is Comrex.
Comrex, Tieline, there are a few others. I think it will work with the Telos VoIP systems also. It's a software package. So there's about $250 worth of software here that you'd have to purchase for the system to work. Anyway, so what we've got is, here's our inputs. These are the simplex inputs. That means one directional inputs. They're just outputs, actually. The microphone, and we're using Firefox, Skype, Lucy Live, and Zoom are our duplex inputs. We've got a little processing going here, noise gate, and a compressor, just so that you can knock out some of the noise, the background noise, if people aren't talking or there's no audio going. We have volume controls here for each input. We've got meters. Then it goes to Black Hole, which routes it back through the system so it can mix for your mix minus, a subfader here, some more meters. There's some different things here, like volume controls, an output device which sends to my headphones so I can hear. This is this part right over here. I've got to get this out of the way so I can see it. This is still in development. It was a basic profanity delay that you could use if you're taking phone calls and you're worried. Here's your big meter, so you can click that and see a big meter.
John, move it over to the right, because our pictures are covering the right side.
Are they?
Yeah, pan it to the left so we can see what you're looking at the output section.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
Just
can you
move it
see it
all
now?
over. Oh, it's not moving. I can see the big meter.
Well,
And also just collapse their own view of all the
I
other
don't know.
people. Get rid of
So
that.
wait a, yeah, there we go. Is that better? This is a stream, so you can stream to a server. So I've got it streaming to one of our servers right now. A recorder right over here. I'm gonna click that shut. This area above is for queuing. So basically you can listen to different devices, the Farrago, the Zoom, the Safari, et cetera, without going on air. So if you have to queue something up, this is a talkback module. So if I turn down my microphone, hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes.
So that's the system. It really works better if you have two monitors plugged in, so you can have all your other devices on the other monitor, so that everything is not on top of each other. So I'm going to bring up Clean Feed now, and I'm going to show you how that works. Michael, would you like to talk a little bit about Clean Feed? Because you've used it extensively in a broadcast situation.
Yeah, sure, John. Just a little bit of background, as much as I possibly can. Would it be helpful at all to just play a bit of audio from Farrago so people could get a sense of what it sounds like?
If you want to, I can play some. I'll play some, and then I got to turn it up. So
hold on.
Show the
have
host,
something
John.
right here.
Show the whole screen, John, so we can see Farrago. Because that'll
I'm
explain.
showing the whole screen.
Where's Farrago?
It's right in. Oh, it doesn't.
No, you're just showing. Unless
How do
you
I
have
show
that
the
full
whole
screen.
screen?
Well, stop the share. When you share, you could pick things, and one of the things you can pick is the screen. You've picked. You've picked.
Is that desktop?
Audio hijack. Yeah.
Is that desktop?
Show
Okay.
the desktop.
All right. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Now we can see Farrago. That's Farrago.
Okay.
Although you've
Here's
only
Farrago.
got one thing. You've only got one thing.
Yes.
Farrago's way cool.
I don't
It's
really
a clip
use
player.
It is. It is really very, very useful.
So I'm going to play a little something from Farrago.
You don't have it coming to us.
Okay,
double click it.
Okay, so we're done with that. So that's Farrago. Let's go back to clean feed because that's what we really want to show. So, okay, now you can see that I'm on clean feed. I am the server computer, and you can see that I've set it for the input. I have a lot of different inputs, and my input is loopback audio browser. So that's coming from, if I show it to you here, let's see, that would be this one. So that's how that's set up. So I'm using Black Hole as a switchboard, and then I'm mixing things through loopback. And how do I get rid of this? Okay. And then I'm able to control what goes where through the fader. So everything is post fader. Okay, let's go to clean feed and kind of show you how it works. Clean feed is a high quality codec. I'm right now using the free version. Michael uses the paid version, which is like $22 a month, something like that.
$22 a month I paid for my own Clean Feed Pro service because I didn't want any interruptions or any interference from anything else, sharing anything with BAI or anything like that, which there could be some interruptions. There was some interruptions, so I paid for my own as well as some other equipment.
Would you talk about your use of it today with Joanna?
Yeah, today I had an experience where I had a host and at 1.123, well, 3 people on at once. It works, but that's going to the outside limit. I would suggest that people are going to use this to have no more than a host and a couple of guests, because there can be dropouts, and you really have to be, that is, whoever is doing the engineering on the board outside has to be really very nimble. That is to say, they have to be communicating with the guests, with the host all the time, letting the host know what is going on and how to respond in case of a dropout. So, you know, you have to talk to folks ahead of time to say, if you get a dropout, if you're dropped from the screen, just reconnect. And you have to do that with the host, with the guests as well, because sometimes these things happen. This is a new system. This is a remote system. And by the way, how we got to this place, let's start there, because that's very important to me. We all got to this place because of COVID. So back in February, for me, when I saw what was going on, what was taking place, what was going to take place in New York City, I'm saying, well, what are we going to do as a station if the governor of the state of New York is talking about we may have to shelter in place? Well, what if we have to shelter in place? How are we going to broadcast? We should start thinking about that. So I said I mentioned that to my general manager, I said, listen, do you remember back in 2012 when I was given a Comrex unit when Superstorm Sandy came through New York and shut down the whole eastern seaboard, or part of the eastern seaboard? I was able to broadcast from my home to the Empire State Building, and thus we were able to continue to be able to broadcast up until the time that the power was cut to the Empire State Building, and then all bets were off. But the storm surge came, washed out all of our infrastructure in 120 Wall Street, where WBAI was located, so we had to plan ahead. So that's what was done. And so I told him that 2012 was several years ago, and the technology has improved vastly up until this time, 2020. Fast forward to where we are right now, I was talking with John Almeleh, and he started telling me about Lucy Light, and we implemented Lucy Light into our broadcast capabilities at the station, but things started moving in a fast direction where we were going to be shut down, shelter in place in New York, or just about close to it, and we were.
If I can just jump in here, Lucy Light was to bring the hosts in so that they would have Lucy Light on their cell phone, and they could talk on the air just like they were on the studio. It uses VoIP. I guess I can give you a little demo if I'm careful with Lucy Light and bring that. Let's see. It's, of course. Let me see if I can move that out of the way. So that, okay, so I'm gonna now launch Lucy Light, and we should
computer, and they're up there, and a couple t-shirts with the Be Natural Health and Wellness logo on the front, which I also designed.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so we were just listening into WPFW, another station in the Pacifica Network. So we went right into their Comrex device, and we could talk to them on the air if they had us potted up, which I hope they didn't. And we could listen to their audio.
And so for everybody that's listening, so you understand, this Lucy Light, if I don't know how old everybody is here, but this goes back, and Otis, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the sound quality of this Lucy Light and its clean feed is kind of on par, maybe not as robust as the ISDN, but it's very good. The sound quality is excellent.
I think clean feed's better, but the Lucy Light that we use is G722, which is AM.
Yes.
It's AM, which means it's up to like 6K.
Right.
Which is the reason we use that version is because it's $20 or $30 as opposed to $200.
Yeah. Right. But the sound quality, nonetheless, is still very good. So, do I need to go any further, John? Talking about the background. It's important to put that out there so we know how we got to where we are right now. And so, again, through working with John Almeleh, he told me about Lucy Light. We worked on Lucy Light in the studios, but then the subways were shut down. I had no way of getting into the station. And plus the station was, I had no way of getting into the station using the subway, and the subways were not a safe place in terms of
and Michael's shift starts at 6 a.m. So he has to actually be at WBAI, which is in Brooklyn, from Upper Manhattan by like 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. So that was a problem. So we started working on building him something that he could use at home. And he started, I think, using it around March 15th or something.
March 15th, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was a different version of the audio hijacked session you're seeing right
True.
now. We went through many iterations to come up with something that was a little bit more usable.
But through constant work and preparation and board hopping and becoming familiar with this virtual system, it can work, and it works. It works very well. As I said, I had a host and 3 different people on at the same time, and it can work. But you have to, the communication with your guests, with your host and your guests, has to be in real time and very fast.
And the system really, what actually brought it to a next level was when I talked to a former affiliate, Mark Sophos. I don't remember the call letters. Ursula, if you're there, you probably remember what station he was from. But it was up in Tarrytown, New York. And he said he was using
It was John, it was WDHF. In fact,
thank you very much.
In fact, Mark is just joining us right now. I just saw
Oh,
him.
is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So Mark told me about CleanFeed because I think Otis and I had tried it maybe a couple of years ago, and it didn't really work very well for us. So anyway, so that brought this console to a total new level.
Yeah, Mark, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hi,
that's
Mark.
great. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm sorry I'm joining late. I actually just finished an outcasting session, so.
So anyway, I was just telling them that you were the person that really told me about CleanFeed, and that night I tried it and integrated it into the system.
Great, and how's it working?
It's working really well. This morning we had Michael G Haskins, who's on with us, had he was the CleanFeed server, and he was engineering for WBAI, and he had a host on and 3 guests on CleanFeed all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things you need to remember about CleanFeed is that if you're using it on a smartphone or a computer, that you really should be wearing wired earphones or headphones. Because
tell them why. Yes, please explain.
Because it will echo on you,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and that's annoying
It'll
to the
corrupt
listeners
broadcast.
and to the guests and the host. We should bring up CleanFeed and we can talk about that a little bit. So let me show you how you invite somebody to CleanFeed. You click on the connect button. I'm going to go to advanced. Let's put a name in there. Someone. Can you spell that right? No.
Oh yeah, right. It takes a little bit of time to.
Takes a little time. I'm going to
You have
say
to do this ahead of time.
connect on use, which in the pro version you can limit to how much time you want to give the person. Like if you know they're going to only be on for an hour, you might give them 2 hours so they don't pop in on you later. That's part of the pro version. You can either set an email. Whoop, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Either set an email or you can copy the link yourself.
If I can jump in for just a second.
Yes, absolutely.
I've found that sending by email can often take 15 to 20 minutes. And so
Really?
I always use the, I'll send it myself.
I'll
So
do
I
it
would,
myself. Yeah.
yeah. And then just send the person an email with the link in it.
That's
that's
good
what,
to know.
That's what I've been doing.
There's something else here. Okay, you can also, if you have the pro version, you can ask to accept the connection, which is really helpful if you're sending a lot of links out. You don't want somebody from the wrong show joining and starting to talk. So.
And there's a mute feature on that.
There are mute features, like I can mute myself there. You can hear, you could see me, but you couldn't hear me right then. So I can mute Michael, but I won't. What else do we have here? You can, with the Pro version, you can have, you could set it to left channel, right channel, mono mix. You also have a no headphone repair in the Pro version. So if you're hearing echoing, you activate that feature and it will sound a lot better. In fact, I think Michael's used it when there were
A couple of times.
when he had guests on the phone and they were echoing. He was able to use that feature to when I'm talking about phones now, I'm talking about a Skype phone call, and he was able to take the echo out of it. So it sounded better to both the host, the guests, and the listeners.
I don't want to keep jumping in because I don't know the
That's
context
okay,
of this
Mark.
call.
Oh, please do. We're learning.
Yeah, we have, I've never used the Pro version. I know that one of the things that you can do in it is if you have two guests, you can have them come out on separate channels, which would be useful if you want to adjust the balance between guests, or if you want to record in multi-track so that you have each guest on a separate track. We also found that we were depending on guests having a headset of some sort or another. And in some cases that worked really, really well. And in other cases, it resulted in absolutely terrible audio. And so we made the decision to invest in a couple of USB mics that we are sending through the mail to our guests so that we get decent sound. And we found that Clean Feed does not like certain Rode mics. We've gone with the Audio-Technica AT2005 USB. And that seems to work with it. And I don't know, again, the context of what you're talking. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You know, I was going to say, you send it to your guests or your hosts?
Well, we have, right now we're working from home. So I run Outcasting, which is a LGBTQ youth program. So I put USB mics in the homes of the kids. And then these Audio-Technica mics we send to the guests so that the guests have something good to talk into. Because if they were talking into headsets, you know, we did one where it was almost would have been clearer if it had been over the phone. One thing that I've noticed about Clean Feed is that it's really dependent on how good the internet connection is on the far end. And unfortunately, there's no way to really fix that other than to have the guests go back and say it again, which is fine if you're doing a taped show, but for doing a live show, it might be a problem. But there's another alternative, and I don't want to hijack your meeting, but one of the things that we've been using lately since we record everything is Zencastr, spelled like it sounds except without an E, so Zencastr. And it works sort of the same way. You have this high fidelity live connection among your guests, but each guest's computer makes a local recording of only that guest's microphone, and it can be set up so that it automatically uploads into your Google Drive or Dropbox or something, and so you end up with, you know, your host recording and the guest recording, and if you have more than one guest, you may have 3 different recordings. And the nice thing is that the recordings are made locally, so even if there are internet glitches that would, you know, cause a problem with a live feed and Clean Feed, as long as there's a decent internet connection to begin with, the guests' recordings won't be affected by those internet glitches. So if you're doing something for recordings, Zencastr might be a good alternative to use. But we've been using Clean Feed for years and love it.
Since Michael has been using Clean Feed in a live situation totally and exclusively, he may want to talk about the testing process, because every day he has new guests that come on, and he usually tests them with the host. Would you talk about that a little bit, Michael?
Yeah,
well,
sure.
John and Michael, before you go that, can we just check real quick to see if there's any questions? Because I've been sharing a lot of great information. But I just want to check in with everybody and see if there's any comments, questions before we move on. I can't see you, so just speak up if you want to.
Well, I'll just jump in with one more thing. You know, the internet connection on the far end, I mean, obviously your own internet connection needs to be good and should be wired, but sometimes, you know, getting the guest to actually put a wire between their computer and their router has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have routers in the basement or in the kitchen, and they're in an upstairs bedroom or something like that. And so the stronger you can make their internet connection, the better.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
John, did you?
audio
Sorry,
quality.
go ahead.
Audio quality. I see you have Skype on your timeline versus clean feed. Are you? Do you prefer?
We use Skype to bring in phone guests, not as a Skype call, but as a phoner. And I can actually probably test that with you guys. So I'll bring that up, and I'm going to bring my microphone down, and then I can talk to you guys through a phone. Just hold on.
John, you still there? Are you getting Skype together?
It's just typical. I don't seem to be able to get through to Skype. So,
Is the audio quality better in clean feed than Skype? Would you say?
absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we did an interview last year. It was our Stonewall series, and I live in New York City. Our guest lives across around the corner from us, and so I was able to go to his apartment and put in a USB mixer and an RE16 mic. We did the interview using in the studio we have Rode condenser mics. Aside from the difference between the RE16 and the condenser mic, and the acoustics in the guest's bedroom and an occasional siren from a New York City street, you probably would not know that they weren't sitting in the same room. It's that good.
It's that good.
Yeah, the reason to use Skype for regular phone calls is if somebody doesn't have a smartphone or can't get through, or there are technical problems, then you can, it's a fallback.
Yeah, it is a fallback, and it works. I used one this morning with the 6 a.m., rather 6:30 guest, did not have headphones. You know, she's a woman of mature years, let's say, and she didn't have headphones. And we worked with the Skype, and it worked just fine. John, and all, I'm gonna have to ring off soon. Ask, what did you want me to share, John?
I think that's pretty much it at this point.
I was curious about the testing that you do with the guests before they go on.
Yeah. The testing.
Oh, yes.
Good point. Okay, so what I do, not the day of the broadcast, the day before the broadcast, I find out from the host of the next day, in my case, the morning show host, I find out as early in the day as I can what they are doing. Do they have a lot of pre-recorded material? Are they going to be having guests on? If so, I need the guest's cell phone number, name and phone number, and I will send them a link, a clean feed link. And when they get the clean feed link, they will use the link, utilize the link, click on the link, and I will connect with them. They will connect with me. We will test to make sure I can hear them and they can hear me. And that's what I do. If they have 2 guests, that's what I do. Or a 6 a.m. guest and 2 6:30 guests, I do that. And it's important that you do that before time, because you just don't have enough time when a show is starting, when you're engineering a program to start doing all this. You do so ahead of time. Now these clean feed links last up to 24 hours. So if I'm setting up something for tomorrow at 10 a.m., it will still be useful if I set it up now. But it's important that that is done before the program starts.
Thank you so
Are you
much.
saying that you can bring in a guest through clean feed without going through Skype or anything?
Yes. If clean feed is not an option for some of the things that some of the folks were talking about already, that don't have headphones or whatever reason, Skype can be used.
But we're using Skype not as a VoIP codec, but as a telephone hybrid,
Correct.
which isn't working right now because I think I'm signed into Otis's account and he may be signed into it also.
Right, and
so,
so at this point, Otis, it's very important that I let you know, Otis, I have my own account, so I will
Yeah,
not
no, John told me. Wow.
piggyback on you.
Impressive.
So thank you, thank you very much for all that you did in the initial stages.
I just signed out, John. I've signed into Skype twice. I've had 2 sign-ins.
the call wasn't going through because I didn't see anything on my end.
Well, you could try it now and see if you can get in.
Try.
One of the things about Skype is, though, if you contact Skype through your computer, you're not going through the phone system, so it's not going to filter the way the phone system does. You know, you can get good quality from Skype if it's somebody on a computer, but clean feed is obviously much better.
Yes, yes.
The only downside of clean feed is when John and I first tried it, it was some fuzziness about, because you're sort of downloading an app, you know, it's like that.
Well, I'm going to.
But you've been using it, so you know what the effect is with guests, people who've never done it and so forth. And it seems to be working really well.
It does. It really does. And this is the first time I'm doing something like this with the affiliates. And as I said in the beginning, it would be wonderful to see all of this participation. Ursula, you've done a fantastic job, and I hope to be able to speak to you some more about doing this thing works, this clean feed and Lucy Light, this works. And as you know, what we're facing as a nation, as a world community, you know, hunkers down around us. I think this is something that is good that we're talking about this now, so that, as I said initially, that we're not caught flat-footed without the ability to broadcast this works. We should utilize it.
The other thing is, Michael, because you're using this console system also, not just clean feed, is that you really need a 2-monitor setup, because at the beginning, Michael was using it with 1 monitor, and
a 13-inch monitor.
A 13-inch monitor, and then later a 21-inch monitor, and just a single monitor. It was just there was too much on the screen at once.
So, you know, if you'd like you know, to hear anything further in future meetings or so, I will be glad to be available. But my 4 a.m. comes mighty early, so I've got to run.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to have you with us.
Rock on. And I would say also that I use what's called, what is it called? It's the way of using multiple screens, multiple desktops in the Mac, and it's very, very easy to move from one to the other. So when I set it up, I'll put the console on one desktop. I'll put Farrago, you know, the Skype and stuff on another one, because it's very easy to go back and forth. Anyway.
Indeed, it is. That's how I have it set up, Otis. One side,
Yeah,
and then the other side. It works. It works very well that way.
it's much harder to do that on a PC. You can do it, but it's
Yeah,
weird.
actually, he's using 2 screens, Otis, not.
Yeah. No, I would use 2 screens. I wouldn't have any trouble. It's so much easier to have more than one screen. I do on the PC, you know, which I don't use, but I do have 2 screens on it.
Did you mention something about a profanity delay on
Yes.
this? Do you have that on your timeline?
On the yes. I'm having a little problem here because somehow I hit something, and so I'm gonna undo this because I don't know exactly where it was. Somewhere.
You've exposed the slight
Yeah.
problem that
That we've asked for
that
them.
audio hijack has. It uses sort of a kind of primitive artificial intelligence to decide where to make the connection between devices. You can see that the whole thing is set up with, you have different input device, compressor, volume control. They're all separate little pieces. And so it does not always want to make the connection between the one you want. It has some rules that are interesting.
Yes. Actually, I think that's about the best I'm going to get. So you wanted to ask about the profanity delay. So basically, you have a monitor module, which you can't listen to unless you're listening on the stream, which records, when it's enabled, it records the whole program. So I'll turn on the block. So what you can do is you let it load, and then you can shift it in time. Let's say we want to shift it 20 seconds back. So basically the stream is now 20 seconds back. But the setup, you really kind of have to have something like the sound of the sea, something that doesn't make sense, so that the listeners are not going to hear you set up the device, or they're going to hear what you just said the last 20 seconds again. So, and then what I've done is I've set up a file in QuickTime, which supposedly would be, if I had, it would be a station ID. And if there was profanity, you could just switch the input from the delayed broadcast. So the output would be 20 seconds after. So the input of this module, it waits 20 seconds at this point, the way I've got it set up. So you could switch to that that file, which is just a station ID, let's say with some music or something playing over and over, until you were ready to go back live, and then you could switch it back. So it's still in development. There are other ways to handle this. If you have a profanity delay at the station, I've been working on something that would allow you to actually trigger the profanity delay at the station remotely. So,
Thank you. I didn't know about that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, one of the things about it too is just because of the structure, you could actually put that profanity delay on the phone. and not have it. You don't have to delay everything. It depends on what your content is going to be. You know, if you were running
How
a
would you
lot
put it on the phone, Otis? You're going to put it after
on
the phone?
Skype, yeah, you put it on Skype and you let it. Oh, I see what you're saying. Now you could put it on the phone, but it wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't work because then you would be out of sync.
You'd
with
be
the
out of
rest
sync
the
for 20 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing about this is it really starts opening the whole design of it, of being able to put devices anywhere you want. It really almost makes you rethink what a console is. Because now you have total control over where everything is going. You can
So you have
control
all these
everything. And
modules
mix
and you
minus is built in. You know,
Okay.
you're not even thinking about mix minus.
Yeah.
It's just it, and you start looking at it a different way, John. You know, it never occurred to me that you could just have separate setups. So he's got this, if you look up here on the upper right, is Skype and Lucy Live and everything set up for Q, totally separate from where it is in the program chain.
Yep.
So it's very versatile.
I didn't know you could do that either. That's a great tip.
And we've been talking to them. I talk to them and say, could you do this? Like, let us control where the connections are made the way they do in loopback. If you look at loopback, you can actually make connections.
Or better yet, to have some type of a grid freeze command so that
to lock it.
what happened earlier, which I didn't even realize happened, would not happen again.
Yeah.
So that you.
I've been caught where I think of something while it's live, and I say, "Oh, I could do this," and so I'll move a device, you know, totally innocently. And 3 other connections will change, and I was, "Oh my God, it just took us off the air." Yeah. Okay. So, but it is an amazingly versatile tool, and it's a different way of thinking about how you manage your audio.
Yeah. So anyway, Otis, would you like to take over the stream now and show the PC version of Potato and how we set it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Undo your share, and I'll share this.
Okay.
Of course, now this system is for the Mac, and you know, both John and I use Macs, and Michael's using a Mac. I guess Mark, I don't know whether you're using a Mac. Sharon, you're using Macs, right? You're using this system.
Yeah, we use Max and Audio Hijack.
Yeah.
Not nearly so
Right. That's the one you gave us a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, the way you're doing it, and which is pretty much amounts to the same thing. You got to unshare. Yeah, good. You Macs are much more designed for handling audio internally. The PC is much more clunky and much more difficult to do. There's this guy in England. I'm going to share that desktop. I'll share that desktop. And you can see the thing that he built, and it is really based on a console. You know, he's set it up like a console. I could just say, you know, the thing that it took me forever to figure out, because when I first got, I was like, how does this work? You know, how do you move things around? You know, in a Mac, you pretty much know where stuff is going. You have a choice. Here, it's not quite that simple. But he's got inputs here, and these are inputs for devices.
Hardware.
Yeah, well, they show up as devices.
Right.
And then these, where I'm here, these are inputs from of applications. And you could see this is John's basic setup, where there's a Skype phone input, and there's the clean feed input, and here's an input from VLC. And then these are the outputs over here. So these are outputs that you can choose where you want to send it. These are, how do we describe it? These are outputs that devices, apps that have inputs, you would pick where these outputs go.
Yeah.
And then you control your signal path by these. Each one of these outputs is a bus. Each one of these is a bus. So you have here which buses the these inputs go to. That's how it works.
So if you look at A1 would be your program bus, A2 would be to the streamer, because what we're doing is we're using.
Yeah, you can see what these are defined as. Here they are, and this is where they go. Anyway, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. And then the B1, 2, and 3 were, I guess I set it up for Skype phones, clean feed, and VLC, which doesn't have an input, so it doesn't really need that third one, but I put it there anyway.
Yeah, if I put Skype here.
You want me to call you?
Well, no. What I was just going to say was, wait a minute, I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do was this. I wanted to go to settings and look at audio and video. See, here we have this Skype output. I mean, this is an output to Skype here. So for that, you would go to Skype, and your microphone, which is the input to Skype, you would choose this output, which happens to be voice meter output, you know. And for clean feed, you would go to the clean feed input, and there it says voice meter output aux output, which is what this one is defined as. That's how you set it up. You're setting up similar to a console, but you kind of have to search around in the PC to find these things, but it works. You know, you can.
We have
use
configuration information and session. What would you call them? A session when you export, so you can import for both the Mac and the PC versions.
Yeah.
So that if you decide that you want to play around with this, you could let us know, and we'll provide all that information so that you can set it up. And if you call us, we'll help you.
This does funny things like, well, Microsoft Skype shows up in 2 places, and there are 2 Zoom entries here. It's like, that's kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing. And when in doubt, this system you just reboot. And it just changed it here. So Zoom is muted. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing anything from Zoom. Oh, I have Zoom. Zoom I have set up just to go to my earphones. I'm not running it through the system. That's why you don't see it. If I ran it through the system, you would see these little VU meters here working. And they do work. So it is cute. And once you understand just how he has it set up, it starts getting a little easier to find. And the one trick I will tell you, none of the browsers have outputs that you can define. But the trick that I found out quite by mistake is if you do the browser and you're playing it, it will show up here. This output will show up. And normally it will say system, or speaker. You can change that output and it will change it on the thing. I know that makes no sense, but it'll make sense if you try it. This in the taskbar, this little speaker icon is always going to show you where your output is, but what it's looking at is the thing that's currently making noise. And of course, the other thing you have in the PC is to right-click on that speaker and go to audio devices. And this gives you an option to kind of look at your audio devices and get a sense of where they are and maybe make some choices. I find it really tangled, and it's workable on a PC. You can work it so that it'll actually work.
Yep.
I've been using it. I used it last night for Execution Watch, which we do here in Houston. We ran it through here. we ran a Zoom meeting through here to the station, and I used this on purpose to just use it, and it worked pretty well. It was okay. I was able to do stuff. The downside is there's some cool processing stuff in that you get on a Mac, the AUs, and so a lot of the stuff that comes with Audio Hijack Pro. There are a large number of tools for compression and noise reduction and stuff like that. This is not that good that way. I mean, what I have to say is, you know, if you want to do this stuff, get a Mac. Even though they're expensive, they really work much better. Or they're easier, more intuitive to set up. But this does work. So if you have a PC, you can't just say, oh, I have a PC, I can't do it. Because you really can. That's it. Any questions?
Otis, everybody left.
Is that it? Everybody's gone. Okay.
That was a joke.
Good. So I don't have to be polite anymore? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. No questions. Good. Good heavens, everybody left. Ursula left.
There she is.
All right. That's basically what I got.
Sorry, what, did you ask me something, Otis?
No.
Okay.
No,
Sorry.
we were just talking about you, that's all.
Good things, I hope. I'm sorry, I got a phone call I had to answer.
No, it was just showing the PC version, which is harder to use, but works. Oh, yeah, this is I should say it's a place called VB Audio, vbaudio.com, or is it .co? He's in England, .co.uk. And I think John pointed out that this thing was primarily designed for gaming. Yeah. But it does resolve an issue that you really can't resolve any other way on a PC. The alternative to all this, of course, is get a mixer and, you know, do it the old-fashioned way, because that also works. You just might need more than one computer. You need to have, you know, Skype. You need a source from, you know, for Lucy Live, Light, and stuff like that. So, but you could certainly do it with the old-fashioned hookups, which I kind of like. They're fun. You get more flashing lights.
Mark, were you planning to make a presentation today? Mark?
Yeah, no, not particularly, unless you wanted me to talk about something.
Okay, no, I'm just checking to make sure we're covering everything we wanted to cover. Well, listen, Otis and John, thank you so much. It's really wonderful to, you know, I just, when I first got involved with Pacifica, I was a mural painter. So I, you know, and it was the thing, one of the things that just kind of dazzled me was, you know, you probably remember back in the, you know, first part of the 20, what do you call it? 21st century. We used to have like little mini technical conferences and everybody got together and talked about how to do things. And I just thought, wow, this is like amazing. You know, this community of people who just are so smart and just like figure out together how to get the job done. And this is like, you know, like just taking it to the next level. I mean, back then we could not have imagined what's happening to us right now, right? I mean, who could have imagined this? And yet here we are, and it just mushrooms, right? It just continues. So it's really, really appreciate you sharing what you've been working on and, you know, the efforts to beat the quandary in New York City. So
does anybody, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Maya. I was
just going to say, does anybody have a need for like a conference calling feature that isn't Zoom? because we use one for outcasting. It's called Discord. It's basically made for gamers, and it gives us, I think it has video capability, but it certainly has audio capability, but it's very easy to break into small groups. So like if we want, you know, 2 of the people to go work in a particular, you know, in a different voice channel to work on a project, everybody can go work in, you know, they can go into a different voice channel and they can share a text channel. And then it's very easy to move people from group to group. So, you know, like we'll meet all together at the beginning of a session and then break into small groups all within this one session.
Oh.
And then we can get everybody back. So if anybody's interested, it's called Discord. It's you get it at discord.com. And it's pretty easy to use. And
I was going to say,
I'm interested.
The biggest issue that I have, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone, is the ability to control phone calls individually. And really, you're pretty much stuck with Maestro or Zoom or something like that. And at that, it's very hard to control the levels individually. Maestro lets you do it, but I don't know. I haven't really tried to use it. I should, because I'm paying for it. Have you found anything about that, Mark, that issue?
Actually, we don't use Discord on the air at all, but it does have you can right click on each person and control their audio level if somebody were to use it on the air.
You can?
Yeah. You right click on their name and then the slider comes up and you can adjust their volume. But again, this is something that we use when we're meeting. We don't use it on the air at all.
Yeah, well, Maestro has some of that. It's similar.
Mm-hmm.
Has similar stuff. The other thing is muting, you know, because people don't realize if you have, you know, a couple of people, they don't realize that their mics are actually sensitive, and when they put them next to their keyboard and start typing,
Yep.
breathe. That's interesting. Okay, I'll look at Discord. That's interesting. Okay.
Well, thank you all. It's all been very interesting. I'm very.
Thank you, John and Otis, for the presentation. That's really.
No worries. Okay, so he goes.
And just for everybody's, you know, just for whoever's left here, this was recorded, so we'll put it on the website so that you know, we can look at it again. And John or Otis, do you want to tell people they can contact you with questions?
Absolutely. If they need help setting anything up, or they're having any problems, they can contact me at sirius@pacifica.org.
And that's Sirius, SIRIUS, not SER. SIR.
Not everybody has my phone number, or most everybody.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Okay,
available.
well, thank you, everybody, for those of you that are left. We've gone from about 15 to 8, but it was nice to
God, we
see
did a
everybody.
great job. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it was. You weeded them out bit by bit. So, you know, thanks everybody. And I just want to, any last comments? Renee, Sharon, William, Sandra, any last comments before we shut her down?
Very informative. Thank you for the info.
Okay, and Renee, I'm really concerned to hear about the fires. That's worrisome, and just wanted to express my concern. And of course, Sharon, I
thank you.
Worry about you. Yeah. So is Renee, is your station in danger?
At the moment, not. It hasn't jumped the freeways yet, so we're safe.
Wow. Okay.
The wind's going in the opposite direction for the moment.
Wow. Well, will you keep us posted if something? Well, if something goes wrong, you're going to be too busy to talk to us. But we'll be thinking about you. Well,
thank you for your concern.
Yeah. Okay.
Ursula, I just wanted to jump in and say that next week we talked about discussing the GRC online and getting some tips from the crew on that and how they, you know, think we can make that a successful thing, since we won't be able to meet in person this year due to the virus.
Okay.
So if anybody's been to any online conferences or have any ideas for something you'd like to present or how we can structure that, we'd love to hear it. For those of you who've never been to the GRC before, Grassroots Radio Conference is where I learned about the LPFM thing. I wouldn't have a station if it wasn't for this conference. So in a way, our station owes it our life. And we were supposed to host it here in Louisville this year, and it certainly would be an exciting time to have everyone here. But you know, with the disease and everything, we just can't risk it. So, so again, embracing all this technology and figuring out something different and fun for the GRC this year. I'd love to hear y'all's ideas.
Okay. And Sharon, I'll send you a picture of our face mask. I got it from a company called Wristband. I'm not sure I would recommend them.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's it is the way to go now, at least here in Iowa, where we have a lot of virus going on, and it is much safer. And in some ways, you forget about it pretty quickly. I mean, it's not like the mask. You wear it for a few minutes, and you kind of forget that you have it on. And I actually like it a lot better, and I feel like I'm protecting myself, you know, really well. So I'm into it, and we bought one for everybody here at the station, so that if they want to cover a demonstration, they're protected. So.
And the doctors and nurses you talked to said that, and you don't need to wear a mask. You can just
Yeah, they said no, you don't have to wear a mask. I know that some people think that you do, but they said no, you really don't. It is protection, and in fact, Iowa City is where the medical establishment is, University of Iowa, and they're saying that if people wore shields, it would end the pandemic. They think it's that effective, that is the solution to the pandemic. Well, I mean, other than vaccination.
Do you mean shields instead of masks?
Face shields, yeah.
Huh.
And the thing about them is that, you know, all you have to do when you take it off, you just spray it down with alcohol and it's clean. You don't have to put it in the wash and, soak it and all this stuff that I do with the mask. You just spray it with alcohol and it's ready to go again. So
is this like a shield, like somebody who works on a lake
the clear shields?
Yeah.
That fits on your head.
It's just a clear shield that fits on your head. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit at first because it has to stick out because it has to go around your nose,
Yeah, but if you wear a clear shield, then you got to shave. I mean,
I don't know why you have to shave. There's plenty of room. Yeah, I don't, mine's in the car, so I don't want to make you wait, but it looks a little funny because it sticks out of your forehead because it has to be out here. So you look a little bit like a space person, and people look at you for a minute and then they're like, yeah, whatever. Like, who cares anymore what we look like, right? It's just.
So they're saying that masks are not doing the job, but the face shields would. Is that?
Yes, face shields. Well, masks are good for kind of protecting other people because it helps you, but it doesn't. It doesn't protect you because the virus is so small. It goes right through the fiber.
Right.
So the shield stops the virus. The virus can't get through plexiglass. And so it does effectively, protect your face. And you also don't end up touching your face anymore because it's behind a shield and you can't really reach your face. I mean, the first few times you try, you run into you're like, oh, I've got a shield on. So it kind of stops all this behavior like of adjusting the mask and all that. And the trouble is that people can see you again. I mean, your face is clear again. So people.
I can see you. The trouble though is that we finally got some Republicans to wear masks. Now,
well, I know they should be wearing shields.
We all should.
Us
now there's going to be
the
shortage of shields. I was at the Fry's today, and there are thousands of masks. At the impulse bookshelves that you pass on the way to the checkout, and there are no shields though. That's interesting.
No, people are behind the curve on the shield thing, but it is the future.
I've never heard of it.
Solution. It's just the next step.
Well, if it
comes a mandatory mask thing here, I wonder how the shield works into all that.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a shield, you get to not wear a mask. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, around here by now, people are getting hostile if you don't wear a mask in a store. But when people look at my shield, they're kind of like, whoa, okay. She's really serious. Why don't you have a mask on? They're like, oh.
So you're wearing a mask and a shield?
No, I don't. I just wear the shield.
And nobody hassles you for not wearing a mask?
No, they're intimidated.
They're afraid of you. Okay.
Yeah, they're intimidated. It's intimidating.
Wait a minute. When you talk or you cough, doesn't the airflow go around the edges of the mask and behind your head?
Shield, you mean the shield.
Well, not well.
Toward people that are behind you?
Not really. No, not.
Where does it go? You're saying the air just sort of stays there when you cough? No, I don't.
No, you know, I mean.
I think you're a menace, Ursula.
I talked to a doctor yesterday about this because my shield also, some shields are sealed up here. Mine is open on the top. So I said, you know, like, you know, is that a problem? He said no. He said he says it's not that easy for the virus to get around, you know, and if it's blocked here, he said, that's pretty much it. I mean, when they say it's airborne, that means that it can, you know, it gets into the air, but it's not that airborne so that it can go like around you. It's not.
Well, there was a research project having to do with airflow, and what he found was that he was doing masks that there's a huge airflow that goes behind you. You know, he also found that the aerosol goes much farther than 6 feet and hangs around for a long time.
Yeah, well.
But he wasn't doing shields, you know.
Oh,
so.
see, there's a shield. Yeah, that's the shield. I think that's the same one I have.
Oh, that is so cute.
Right?
That is so cute.
Like it?
Darren, you need to be wearing that all the time.
I think you could really rock it.
I feel like it's a whole fashion statement.
It's fierce.
I mean, it's very light. It's basically just like a, you know, heavy piece of plastic.
It looks like an Elizabethan collar that you're wearing upside down, you know, for dogs.
Oh, maybe I could wear one
Elizabethan collar. What? Yeah.
But you know,
we should be wearing Elizabethan collars.
And foam here, which I found, I'd like to, you know, if you have to wear it a long time, because I'm thinking about my son for school, because I was thinking too, you know, if that happens, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but thinking that it would be better to communicate, you know, with something like this.
Yeah.
But it gets right here with this one, I would say it's fairly comfortable because it's foam, but then it gets kind of hot and sweaty. So I would imagine wearing it all day.
Yeah, you have a governor.
Maybe we could do some tests.
You have a governor who hasn't drunk the Kool-Aid yet, so you might be safe.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why my mask has air coming down here. And so it stays cooler. But the doctor I talked to, he said, I said, isn't that a problem with that space up there? And he said, no, not really. He said, it really isn't going to be an issue. So I don't know.
Maybe
the University of Iowa, the whole hospital complex there, they all put on face shields and they said that it stopped the whole thing. You know, I mean, they really tried it out because they wanted to see if it made a difference. And they said it really did. It really was the solution for them. So.
Well, I think we got 5 of these for $20 or $25 off Amazon. That's where I got these. So
I mean, she looks better that way than with a mask on, right? I mean, she doesn't look like a bandit. She looks like some sort of professional, you know? I mean, when you put the shield on, you look like some sort of professional. I don't know if it's an astronaut or a welder or something.
Yeah, I like it.
You look like you know what you're doing. You don't look like you're going to rob a bank, you know?
I kind of like that look too. Well, thank you. Thank you for the recommendation, Ursula. I like that idea. It'd be great if that really is, you know, a good solution. Yeah. Well, be careful, everybody out there. And thank you all.
Thank you all. And you take.
I'm going to go.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
I'll give you a call later, okay?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.